I'm very happy to welcome you to this brand new topic that we will discuss how to uncover your own personal Venus scenarios, experiences, and of course, how this can affect your personal life, your love life, your emotional experiences, and everything else which is related to things that you love. So, my goal for today is to present you like the whole concept. So, you will see how this works, and basically, the rest is up to you. You can apply it and you can basically find those stories for yourself on your own. Like, you will know how to do this. Uh, for those who will want something more or support from me or just to continue deeper, there will be another option. But again, the purpose for today is to teach you everything you need to know about this. The theory part, which will guide you how to use it. Venus, the planet of love. Always interesting, always exciting. And something I've been exploring and working with is something I want to call Venus path. Venus path in our solar return charts. If you are not familiar with solar return charts, basically those are charts that we calculate each year on our birthday. Technically, it's the time when the sun gets to exactly the same degree as the position when we were born. So just keep in mind that sometimes it could be the exact same day as the day you were born. Some years it could be the day after or the day before your actual birthday. But if you're using a software, the software is calculating this for you, don't need to worry about it. It's pretty much your birthday date. And each year we calculate such chart. We call it solar return chart. And it's giving us a perspective also of how things can materialize, what could be something important for us. Basically, it gives us like an additional map of the year. And we explore everything about this chart. We work with it just like any regular chart and everything that could be important in it. But there is something unique about Venus in those charts. And this is specifically what I want to share with you. The thing is that during your whole life, Venus will take only a couple of positions, only a few positions, and they will repeat over and over again. That's it. And there are no exceptions. We are all like this. And for me, this was like, yeah, astrology is amazing. Yeah, we know we see so many interesting things and how can things work. But like when I saw this, honestly, it was extremely impressive for me. So that's what I want to share with you, how you can find those points, how you can learn to analyze them and to use them, and what is their meaning. You understand, right, that if something keeps repeating, and those are not just random position somewhere in the chart, but they are like specific positions, and they tend to repeat on a regular basis, not unpredictably. They repeat on a very predictable cycle. Then, of course, they can't be random. And of course, they will play a huge role. And they are defining something that we face with over and over again. So that's what turns this approach and this perspective not only into a predictive technique, but also to something that defines the quality or the essence of your love life, of your love experiences, of your emotional life. So pretty amazing, really. Why does this happen? One thing that is related to it is that Venus is always around the sun. Venus can never be, for example, in opposition with our sun. Venus is always up to 47 degrees away from our sun. And this creates some kind of patterns that tend to repeat. Basically, Venus repeats its position in the solar return chart every 8 years. So every 8 years, Venus will be on the same place. There is a minimum orb, so it changes a little bit with time, and it gets usually to up to 2-3 degrees. But those 2-3 degrees become like, like a stationary point for your Venus. So they are very, very important. And what's interesting about those cycles is that also for most people, very often, one of those 8-year phases is also a stationary phase. And this is the only case in which Venus actually makes a significant shift in the position. So it doesn't stay just within 1-2 degrees, but it actually moves. And this also has a specific meaning. So I actually decided that I will show you with my chart. I was thinking about some examples and I have something on my mind, but then I was like, okay, I just want to show you my chart and to demonstrate how this works. So the calculations for this part, the calculations, my friends, are not complicated. Really not complicated. You can do this with even astro.com, any astrology software. All you need is just to be able to calculate the solar return charts and to do this for every year of your life. So I would totally recommend to start from your birth, so from the past, and do a retrospection, and then also to do this for the future, preferably for many years in the future. And what do we do? So I will show you how I came up with, it's very simple, basically a page or Word document where you make a simple table with the year and with the position of Venus. And you just add Venus position in your solar return chart year after year. And you will notice that every 8 years, you will have those repetitions, with the exception if Venus is retrograde, but also put those degrees in the table. And the next step is basically to analyze each of those positions. Because let's say you may have Venus at some point, for example, in my case, in one of my Venus phases, Venus is in conjunction with Uranus. What would you expect during such a phase? Do you think that it would bring peace and harmony and everything will be, like boring and predictable? Very doubtful. So it may bring very interesting things, experiences, unpredictable things, and also quite a lot of instability. So this is important because this is not happening just once in a lifetime. This will happen every 8 years. So again, it defines not just the focus for the year, but it's showing something deeper about what you are going through and what you will be going through also in your lifetime. Or let's say that you have a Venus phase in conjunction with the moon. This will be different. This will be totally different. It would be more focused on personal things, on the need to find more comfort, more closeness. So quite the opposite of the Uranus conjunction. So we take each of those 8 points. Usually there are 7 with one of the retrogrades, which changes. So for most of us, they will be 7, but they will repeat every 8 year. And we just look at each of them. Okay, what does this activate in my natal chart? Not in the solar return. The solar will change in my natal. Is there a conjunction with a planet? Is there a conjunction with a house? Also very important. From the charts that I've been exploring, in some charts, there are faces which are, just like most of them are in the middle of the houses. And I have seen charts in which pretty much every face is close to a planet or a cusp of a house. This is a totally different story. So if you find Venus, one of those faces, in conjunction with the cusp of a house, this will be a major theme in your life that will keep repeating. Obviously, it's really important, which is this house. Is this 8th house? Is this 12th house? Or is it 5th? Or is it 3rd or 1st or 10th? So those houses will be also very important for experiences related to your personal life, your love life, things related to things that you love in general. So also very, very important. And the other thing, which is quite surprising, those points which come from the solar return charts, once we define them, after that, I highly recommend you to analyze them using other methods, slow transits and progressions, because those points are active. And for example, if you have a progression or a slow transit in conjunction with this phase, even in another year, so not when you experience this right now, but just again, my example, one of my Venus phases is around the 2nd, 3rd degree of Aquarius. I don't have any natal planets there. I don't even have a cusp of a house there. It's just in my 7th house. And right now we have the transiting Pluto around this degree. So I'm feeling this. I can feel that it's in a deeper way, it's in a more specific way, but this also works. And I found that sometimes, there are points which are very active when something happens in your personal life, your love life. And on the surface, they may seem like, but this is not related to love. Again, in my case, one of my points is the cusp of 9th house, around 1st, 2nd degree of Pisces. This on the surface does not seem related to love at all. 9th house, it's education, travel, all of the other things, but it's not about love. Well, one of my Venus phases is there. And when I was looking back in the years, when I had important things happening in my personal life, this point has been very active also by transits, by progressions. So we define those points year after year, chronologically, past and future, I recommend. We analyze the meaning, the general energy. So are they more stressful? Are they more harmonious? How are they positioned in the natal chart? So not just, for example, in my case, this 2nd degree in Pisces, but also what does this represent? Is this, more difficult position or more harmonious? And then, as I said, we can use them also in other predictive methods and see when there is a transit, progression. This will also activate your personal life in a more invisible way. The solar return chart is, in general, for this purpose, it doesn't matter. But in general, I use the birthplace always. And I would recommend you, even if there is relocation, always check the natal chart. After that, you may check also the place for relocation. If someone has been living for a long time somewhere, this can also add some kind of details. But the major themes will always be found in the natal location. And also for this particular method, doesn't really matter because solar return chart for different locations will have different house positions in the solar return, but the planet positions will be the same. And what we are using is how those solar return planets connect to the natal. And this will always be the same. Doesn't matter what location you are choosing. So, yeah, I hope this is clear. But a good question. Thanks for asking. Always the natal place is more important. So when you see this, especially, when you dig deeper into your own chart and you do this chronologically, and it's an incredible feeling because you see that, it explains just so much. I will show you how this works before that, just one more thing about the retrograde phase. For most people, there is a retrograde phase. Maybe not during the whole lifetime, but for some part of our lifetime, there will be a retrograde phase. And again, it will also be once in 8 years, but it will change more significantly, usually with a few degrees away every next time. And those years are very important. Those are years when you can really, usually they're more difficult, usually they are more challenging, but they could be also really important turning points. So I really pay attention to those. And for example, in my chart, I will show you in a moment, I have such an example, and those have been really major for me. So let me show you how this works so you can see it in practice. This is my natal chart. In the initial analysis, of course, you can start with defining how important Venus is in your natal chart. What is the general energy? Also, keep in mind that your natal position of Venus, no matter where it is, will repeat every 8th year, which is also something interesting. So this is also something that does not go away. It stays with us for our whole lifetime. So the more important Venus is for you, of course, the more significant those cycles will be. If Venus is related, let's say, to your work, your career, or something that is important for you, for example, you have some kind of creative hobbies or creative work, then of course Venus will play even more important role and will also be related to potential changes in your art or hobbies or work, whatever resonates with Venus, and always to your personal life, because Venus is a signifier of love and relationships as well. So you can always start with this. As you can see, my Venus is in Scorpio in a critical degree, so not really comfortable here, but ruling the South Node. So from this perspective, also very accentuated. The aspects are fine. So the aspects are harmonious with Mars and the Moon, and directly with Jupiter. There is a semi-square with the Sun. This is a really important aspect, but maybe we will talk about it another time. So yeah, this one is specific. So let's take a look at the solar returns. I will actually start from the beginning. So here my video is maybe like this. Let's see. On the left side, we have the solar return. Here it's the same because I'm starting with my birthday. But the next one will be different. So on the left is the solar return. On the right, we see in the inner circle the natal chart. In the outer circle, we will see the solar planets, the solar return planets. So basically, we will be looking at this chart here on the right. And what does this Venus activate there? Let's just do it and you will see. So this is my first one after I was born. 19th degree. Again, you can look at on the left side, but here you will see just the degree and the sign. The aspects here are not important for the big picture. For the year, yes, but for the big picture, no, because every next time they will be different. But if you see aspects here between solar planets and natal planets, they will be the same. They will not change every next time. So we see Venus is on the 19th degree in Aquarius. Just what comes to my mind is that this degree was very active when I was divorcing, actually. So even though you can see, well, this is nothing, just in the middle of 8th house, no planets there. So you may not associate this to personal life, relationships, marriage, or divorce. Basically, when Saturn was there, I was separating. So this degree totally works. So this is one of my degrees. Middle of 8th house, also 8th house. We keep it in mind. It's not the cusp. Also important rule. If the planet is on a cusp of a house, it's much more important than the middle of the house, always. But here it's in the middle, so around the 19th degree. Next one. This one with Uranus. So see here, 23 degrees with Uranus. Here we can explore that Uranus also squares the Moon and Mars. So this is not a simple phase for personal life. Next one, Venus retrograde. So we get to the retrograde, starts from 6 degrees in Aquarius. First, I'm showing you just the bigger picture. Then next year is 1 degree in Aquarius, not retrograde. So this one will repeat. The 6 degrees in Aquarius will change, but this one will stay around 1-2 degrees in Aquarius. Next one, 7 degrees in Sagittarius, kind of neutral. So here, basically nothing that significant. In the middle of the house, no conjunctions with planets. So this one is fine in 5th house also. Next one, this Pisces thing that I told you, 2 degrees on the cusp of 9th house. So this also suggests that this cusp of 9th house will be something that can activate relationship, Venus stuff, basically, relationships, love, all the other stuff. Major aspects. At first glance, I don't see. No conjunctions except for the cusp of 9th house. So this one is harmonious, we can say. Venus is also exalted in Pisces. So yeah, this one is nice. Next one. Also very important. One of your faces will be around your sun. This one is very interesting because it matters also how close to the sun. And when you get some experience and you look through more charts and more, time frames, you will notice the difference. For example, here it starts from the 12th degree in Capricorn, and my sun is on the 15th degree, so it's very close. But you will see how during the years the tendency is for this conjunction to get closer. So we also pay attention to this. When is this like peak moment? when Venus will be in the closest position to your sun. Those years are also very important. And this one we all have. In your case, it might be 4 or 5 degrees away from the sun, but somewhere around your sun every 8 year. So those years can also be very special. This is not a promise for, incredible happiness, and it really depends also on the status of your sun. For example, in my case, the sun is in Capricorn, so it's not really comfortable there, but it has only harmonious aspects. But it's in Capricorn. So, but in every case, those years, when you find them, when Venus will be and has been and will be in conjunction with your sun, are very important for getting closer to what you want, what you dream, your desires. Could be very important for understanding better yourself in terms of your personal needs, in terms of love, because the sun represents our awareness. It represents our identity, first of all, who we truly are on a very deep level. But also it's our conscious awareness and understanding. And when Venus is around your sun, in conjunction with your sun, this is the time when you can have this more like, like some kind of alignment with what do I really want, who I feel I really am, and are those things, in harmony? Are they in balance? Again, this does not necessarily mean that those will be very easy years. Those might be years when you can realize, for example, that, what, I'm following the wrong path. I'm not in alignment with my own desires. And you may have this awareness. So it might be also sometimes, difficult as well, but it's getting you closer to yourself. So sometimes the process might be, through seeing something that you don't want. This is not who you want to see yourself as or how you want to live. So very interesting years when Venus is in conjunction with your sun. The next one, and the next one, the eighth one, see, Venus is back to its natal position, 29th degree in Scorpio. And from here, it starts repeating. So every 8 year, I have this Venus around 29th, 30th degree in Scorpio. Next one we will see was the Aquarius. See again, the 19th degree in Aquarius. I will do it very fast so we can remember it. Again, back to Uranus, 24th degree in Sag. Again, this is the retrograde phase. So in this one, we have a significant step. If you remember, it was, I think, around the 6th degree the first time. Now it's 3 degrees. And you will see probably next time it will move to Capricorn. So it's a more significant step. Again, this also matters. Next one is the regular. So this one, I told you that right now I'm feeling also the transiting Pluto on this position. Next one was this 7 Sag, somewhere in the middle of 5th house. Again, Pisces and 9th house. And if you notice, they have regularity. So it's not just randomly, first it's in first position, then it's in the 7th, then no, they are like predictably repeating. Then again, with the sun, see how it gets closer to the sun. Last time it was 12 degrees, now it's 13 degrees. And the short version here, you can see I made such a table. So if you want to do this yourself, I highly recommend you to use something similar. You start with your birth year, obviously. In one column, you add the years one after another. Do it at least for 70 years, for 100 years. So don't limit yourself, please. And here we start with the degree and the sign. And I added the color so that then I can see, here 87, 29 degrees in Scorpio. 8 years later, 29 degrees in Scorpio. Another 8 years later, 29 degrees in Scorpio. And I think you see the logic. Here it's with 28. So you will see in some cases there is a bit of a shift. And I also recommend to check this because those, this range of degrees will be active during your whole life. Even if this degree will be activated, I don't know, when you are 80, for example, it's still working. So when we do the color thing, it becomes even more obvious. Or for example, the Aquarius, 19 Aquarius, 19, here it gets to 20. So sometimes it can change. About the retrograde, so it's in the yellow, see, 6 in Aquarius retro, then it gets to 3 in Aquarius retro, then it gets to 29 Cap. So if you have a retrograde phase, you will notice this more significant shift. It will not stay on the same place. It will move. And here you may find also something specific about your chart. For example, we were working with a client and we saw how in one case there was Venus retrograde on 1 degree, let's say 5 degrees in Aries, and the next year Venus is 5 degrees in Aries but direct. So this is something specific that happens only for her. So this is not one of those patterns that we'll find for everyone, but this also matters. So if you find something, you may find also something additional which will apply only for your chart. So year after year, let me check. Do you have any questions about the software? I'm using Sotis, but for this work, you can use any software. So if you have any questions about this technical part, please feel free to ask how you can do those calculations. Next step, as I said, we look at those. Okay, one more thing before that. The degree of your sun also matters. Not the sign, the degree. And in my case, my sun is on the 15th degree of Capricorn, 15 degrees, so the middle. In those, this is the only case, so between 14 and 16 degrees, if your sun is there, then in your solar returns, Venus will be in 5 possible signs. The same sign, Capricorn, the 2 right next to it, Sag and Aquarius, and the 2 after, Scorpio and Pisces. Why is this? Because Venus can be up to 47 degrees away from the sun. So if you saw my sun is middle of Capricorn, one of my phases is the maximum on one side, 28, 29 Scorpio. The other one is the very beginning of Pisces, 1-2 degrees of Pisces. But you will have this only if your sun is in the middle of the sign. If your sun is in the first half of the sign, any sign, let's take Capricorn. If your sun is first half of Capricorn, you will have a phase in Capricorn, in Sagittarius and Scorpio. And on the other side, only Aquarius. You will not get to Pisces. And the opposite, if you have the sun in the second half of Capricorn, you will have Pisces, but you will not have Scorpio. So this also gives us a very interesting insight about differences between people born in the same sign, but in the first or the second half. It's one thing if you are Capricorn from the first half, you'll have more of the Scorpio energy. If you are from the second half, you will have more of the Pisces energy and not of the Scorpio. And this will be true for every sign. If you are Aries, then, you can apply the same principle. So from this perspective, the sun in the middle of the sign is a more unique, specific case. Perhaps I'm not great with those calculations, but I think it's around three. Sorry, no, it's not three. It's around 10% of people. If we take 14th, 15th, and 16th degree, so the middle, I think it should be 10% or something like that of people will have this larger range of possibilities. But then, as I said, first half of the sign will have one. Well, I mean, obviously, some of them will overlap, but some of them will be different. So you can also explore it from this perspective to see. And of course, the signs. So when you have a phase of Venus in Scorpio, this is one thing, Venus is weak in Scorpio. If you have Venus in Pisces, this is a strong position for Venus. If you have Venus in Libra, also it's a strong position. So I'm not paying like huge attention to this, but it also matters. So the signs, but even more importantly, the positions. And according to that, again, we define general life themes, like how intense is my life, or how stressful it might be, or how harmonious it might be. Yeah, and we do this also through the connection to the houses and other planets. So, for example, if you have, I was actually looking, I will show you why not. I was looking at Whitney Houston's chart. First, I thought I would work with this example, then I decided mine, but let's just do both very quickly. So, in her chart, just to see this, just for a second, this is her natal chart. Venus in Leo, in conjunction with the Sun, trining the Moon and Jupiter, squaring Neptune and the Black Moon, sextile with Mars. So many aspects. Actually, this is a very active Venus. It's the first planet here in this area. So Venus is, yeah, pretty active with the Sun also very important. And in one of her phases, Whitney has Venus here with Pluto, another one with Uranus. So what can we expect? Do you think that this will bring peaceful, harmonious, light experiences? Seriously doubt it. It can bring lots of intensity, lots of passion, very interesting, very deep, very transformative, very powerful, very impressive experiences, emotions. So on the cusp of seventh house, the stage, the connection with the audience, the magnetism. But for personal life, this is not easy. Everything else, but not easy. Let me show you so you can see. Okay, this is for her birthday, so 12 degrees in Leo. Just doing it very quickly. Next one is Venus in Cancer, so here nothing that major, seems to have harmonious aspects here with Uranus in fourth house, Cancer, so this one is not really stressful. Here we start 18 degrees in Virgo. Around Pluto. First of all, it's Virgo. Second of all, it's in conjunction with Pluto. Virgo is, oh, sorry. Too much. Where were we? This was Cancer. This was the Virgo we looked. Next one, 23 degrees in Cancer in conjunction with the North Node. So major theme in fifth house. So for her creativity, for love, for many things, generally for her life path, this will play a huge role. I'm not going into the details. We are just, like mapping now. Next one, Venus stationary starting from conjunction with Pluto in Virgo. Intense. Next one, Venus in Virgo again with Uranus. This is not a story of peaceful relationships. It just can't be. Next one is 8 degrees in Cancer, 2 degrees in Libra, close to Mars. So do you see, like, some of her, let's actually get through all of them and then we will summarize. And next one is with the Sun. So as I told you, this one will definitely be there every 8 year. So one of her phases is with the North Node. This is not necessarily challenging, but in a way, it's an indication for some work in this area. Some work and effort are needed. Then one is with Pluto, one is with Uranus, and one is with Mars. So when we see this, it becomes obvious that there will be, in her case, we know that there has been also violence, stories of abuse, and who knows what else. Let me just check. Basically, we check the degree of Venus in each year in the solar return chart. That's the first step. Yes. The years, then we put the degree and sign chronologically. And then we do this step with the analysis, because if you see, for example, let's say Venus on the 4th degree of Libra, you can say, okay, that's actually pretty nice. Venus is strong and Venus is strong in Libra. But if you miss that Mars is there, you will not get the picture that this will also be potential confrontation and some kind of competition, and the need to find compromises and balance. And when do we need to find compromises? When there is a conflict. Otherwise compromises are not needed. So this is also important part. After we check the degrees, we try to figure out the status of those. Again, by first of all, conjunctions. The conjunctions are always the most important. But if you see some squares, some oppositions, you can also consider them. They will not disappear. They will also have some kind of role, the trines as well. But conjunctions are the most important, not only with planets, but also with cusps of houses, if there are any. And based on this, you can see, like, the general perspective. Okay, here it seems like, a major topic will be change, transformation, intensity, the need to find balance. It is what it is. We could also do this with an ephemeris instead of a program. We can do the first part. Yes. Yes, we can. Basically, it may not be like extremely precise, but plus minus 1 degree around the exact number or exact position. Yes, you can, but you will just see the first step, the degree. But then you can do it manually also. You have your natal chart, you find the degrees from the ephemeris, and you can look, okay, where is this degree in my chart? Possible, yeah. I can't comment on everything has a significance. So if you're asking about your Sun and Venus position, the answer is it always has a significance. Do you connect the natal Venus pattern back to Venus' own rose petal pattern? If you can clarify a little bit what you mean, because I'm not sure I get your question, Margarita. Can you please explain or rephrase it? So just some stories from my example. Just wanted to show you. Here is the years. One of the first things I would recommend you, of course, you can check for particular years when you know that something important or difficult or something you can't understand has happened. This can always be a good idea. But besides that, I would recommend you to explore more the years when Venus is in conjunction with your Sun, because this can be also very revealing and you can understand more of, and in every case, those are times when we realize we get closer to things that are important to us, things that we love, things that we like. And if, for example, the events have been difficult, then probably this was because you needed to recognize that you are more away from the things that you want. Or if the experiences were more in alignment, then you have already been in a proper alignment with yourself. So again, this is in the context of everything else, but still very, very, I would say, enlightening. What did I want to share with you? The retrogrades. Yeah, my retrogrades. So 2006, Venus is retrograde in Capricorn, so the sign of my Sun, not in conjunction, but in the same sign. Very difficult year for me emotionally, with a very problematic, challenging relationship. Very problematic. 8 years later, 2014, again, Venus is retrograde, again in Capricorn. Also a very difficult personal life year with difficult relationships, with a lot of challenges in my personal life. 2022, Venus retrograde in Capricorn, also very difficult year, and year when I separated with my partner. So those retrogrades are usually turning points. It's not necessarily an indication that you will separate, but something needs to go away, something needs to be transformed. You may recognize also some kind of disharmony. So if you have retrogrades, those years are, and again, from other examples of, analyzing other charts, it's a very common case that something needs to be transformed. What else did I want to share with you? I had also a very interesting pattern that I uncovered with with this one, with my Sun in Capricorn. 2010, this is the conjunction with my Sun. exact conjunction with my son. This is the year when I gave birth to my daughter, and I also got married. So it was obviously a big year for me. 2018 also. 14 degrees in Capricorn, and this is the next one. See, I'm not skipping, so this is literally the next one. This one was the year when I moved on with my other partner, with the next one. So here in the middle, I got divorced, obviously. So this one is also, it's something more constructive. So this one was constructive, marriage and a kid. The next one after moving in with someone, and the next one will be next year. So next year I will tell you what will happen, but potentially it can be something constructive. It's not a guarantee that I will get married. It's not a guarantee that I will move on with someone, move in with someone. But what does this mean? So the Venus is with the sun. So getting closer to something that you really want. And for example, for someone, this could be also something else. I mean, this could be, let's say, I want career success or recognition. So could be also something like that. But the important thing is if you really want it, if you really, it's in your heart. And through this, again, I will not take you through my whole life story with all the stuff. But those are, some very obvious examples. And again, as I said, those points are active and sensitive when transits and progressions are passing through them. Here, I'm just lucky that, the outer planets are positioned like this, that they will pass through many of my points. So for example, when Pluto has been, and this is not my chart, sorry, this one. So for example, I showed you one of the faces is in conjunction with Uranus. And normally you would not associate, Uranus in sixth house ruling eighth house. This is not related to love and relationships, but it's a Venus face. And that's why when it's activated, it also affects love and relationships. For example, Pluto has passed here. I actually met my partner when when Saturn was here around the 7th degree of Sagittarius, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's not conjunction with the planet. It's not a major aspect with the planet, but it's a Venus phase. So, yeah, here when Neptune was passing through Aquarius, also many stories. So once you have your list with the planets, you can always be mindful. Of course, you can check in retrospection, important progressions and transits, and in the future, you can also see that in advance. So it could be quite interesting. Referring to the Venus 8-year cycle. Yes, I already said this, that we check the positions of Venus, like the degrees, and then we check how they connect to the natal planets, the natal chart, basically, not only the planets, also the cusps of the houses, yes? Does it matter if we often have Venus in the 12th or any other water houses? Yes, it does. Everything matters. That's what we are trying to find out in our chart, how it looks like. As I told you, in some cases, I saw charts where pretty much every Venus phase was on a cusp of a house. There was one, definitely one on the cusp of 12th, one 10th. I think one was here in ninth. So yes, and you may have, for example, in my case, I have 2 in 5. What is it? 1 in 8. Anyway, yes, it matters. If you find more faces connected to one house or one planet, then this house will be more connected to your Venus experiences. Mm-hmm. I'm not using Hellenistic astrology, no. And I also use the Placidus house system, always. Well, with exceptions, if the chart is too distorted, I will use another house system, but for most people, this is not needed. So I stick to Placidus. About the orb, that's a good question, which I personally, I don't have like a very, very strict answer. I mean, the closer the conjunction is, the more important it will be. But, even if it's 5 degrees away, it's still around, so you will still feel it. So, 5, I would comfortably work with 5, yes. And if you see that it gets closer and closer, this will intensify the energy. So, yeah. Yeah, it really is amazing. And so, like opening up so many possibilities to understand ourselves better, of course. So that's it. Please use this for your own benefit and for your own happiness. If you want my perspective or my help with such analysis, soon this will be possible as well. So for those of you who want my perspective, my calculations, my analysis, and all of this, please, yeah, stay tuned. I will send an email and also text in our Telegram group. If you're not there, you can join, of course. Yeah, and I'm also planning to create some workshops around this topic, generally around Venus, with specific focus on this approach. But yeah, I'm also considering other things like Venus in progressions, generally the path of Venus. So yeah, for this workshop, basically my intention, my idea is to do this together in practice. So to take real charts, to start from the beginning, we calculate everything, we analyze the meaning of each phase. We check slow transits. This will take a while, so to think of, to define. But it's also to check the progressions for those points. So if you think that you would be interested to see this in practice, to participate with us, to learn more with me and with other people, then of course you can also join us. This thing will be available soon, so just giving you a heads up. I'm not sharing it now. It will be ready soon. Okay. I'm very happy that you found it interesting. Honestly, I doubt that there could be someone who loves astrology and who will say, okay, whatever, this is something stupid. Like, I think that everyone who is interested in astrology will be really interested in, finding this in their chart. And yeah, it's one of the best things, when you can learn more about yourself, basically. So, just also another note, which is not about Venus, but next week, actually, we are starting another uh, class, another program, which will be focused only on practice. So if this is something you might be interested in, working with real charts, doing analysis, there is a theory part which is available right away, video recorded classes, but you watch them at your convenience whenever you want. And the group work is only on questions and practice with real charts. So if you want to practice and analyze charts, this can be interesting. The program includes also GSR sessions, but there is an option to join without the GSR. If you just want, the astrology work, the astrology part, then email me or text me. I will help you with that. There is, yes, we are. Yes, we are recording. It will be available. I will share the recording with you. If you have any questions, also please feel free to ask. Venus retro, yes, I already showed you this. Maybe you missed it. I am noting when Venus is retro here. 8 years later again, and 8 years later again. And basically, I think during my whole lifetime, Venus has this retrograde cycle. Yes, but some people don't have it during their whole life. It depends. But yes, it's very important, so it makes sense to put it additionally. All right. The Venus Sun conjunction that matters is with natal Sun or with progressed Sun? With the natal. With the natal Sun. But if at some point your progressed Sun gets to a Venus phase, this is important. For example, okay, I won't share again, but in my case, this 2-degree Pisces that is on the cusp of ninth house, in a few years, 4 or 5 years, the progressed Sun will get there. So this is important. But this is not happening for everyone, and this happens only once. But this thing progressed, solar return Venus in conjunction with the natal Sun happens for everyone at some point. But again, pay attention to how close Venus is, because in some charts, in some cases, it can be around 5 degrees away. And it's possible that it may get closer during the lifetime. In some cases, it could be there right away. So this also matters and can show you some kind of dynamic. Ulrika, what do you mean? It could be for 42 years. If you can explain, please. I lost this. The Telegram group. Let me see if I can send you a link now. Share link. to saved messages. Yes, I can do it. Copy link. Okay, it's in the chat now. You can join this Telegram group. What if Venus is the same sign as the Sun, but 11 degrees apart? It's not a conjunction, right? But check if you have a closer face, because you might have another one which is actually closer. 11 is a bit too much, but you should have another one which can be, and during your lifetime also see how close it will get. A Venus retrograde, but you mean in progressions. It can be 40 years, yes. But this is about the solar return. Yes, I use the natal place of birth. But again, for most things, but the short answer is yes. Yeah. All right, then. So if you have any questions, if you are interested in reading also or such the Venus analysis, you can also contact me, email me, text me, whatever works for you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful Sunday. A happy eclipse to everyone. May it bring more wisdom, first of all, and more love also. Yeah, happy eclipse. Bye, everyone. We'll be in touch. Thanks for joining me.